This video is brought to you by the FARMER-KLEIN YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another map first impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at GrayStone Farm, North Carolina. This map can be found over at Large H Mapping's Facebook page, as well as largehmapping.itch.io's website. I will have a link to the website down in the description below. From there you can see all of Large H Mapping's mod releases, and then also a link to his Facebook page. Now, since this map is not hosted on the Giants website, this map will only be for PC players. Now, let's read a little bit of the description. It says, "Hey guys, welcome to GrayStone Farm, a map set in the real-life area of Rockingham County, North Carolina, USA. I currently live roughly 20 miles from the area. My time driving through the area is what inspired me to recreate it. Since there are 5 different playable farms, 1 grain sell point, 3 horse pastures, 4 greenhouses, and 110 playable fields. Now we are loading this map up in new farmer mode, and regardless of what mode you load this map up in, when you download the map, it's going to download with 2 zip files inside a single zip. What you need to do is you need to extract the 2 files out of the downloaded zip and then put those into your mod folder. The map file, GrayStone Farm, is included, as well as the Hobo Farmhouse pack. Let's go ahead and load the map up. We'll pull up the log. You can watch the map load on in. The map does load in error-free. It is fairly quick to load in. As I said, we are loading this map up in new farmer mode. That is typically the mode that we use when we take a look at these particular maps. One caveat, though, I would say is you probably are going to want to start this map in farm manager mode. And the reason for that is you'd start with no equipment on the map. There's 0 equipment on the map that you own. So, as opposed to starting with $100,000 and have to try to start buying equipment or leasing equipment with that, or take out a larger loan, I say start in farm manager mode, $1.25 million, and then you'll be able to buy your land and have a nice little purse to buy your equipment with. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA. We're going to zoom on out, and probably the first thing you notice is that this is based on a Google Earth image, and that is the Google Earth image behind the field layouts. Take a look at the lands area. We start out down here owning in new farmer mode the field in the southwest corner. In addition, we start by owning fields 57, 58, 59, 60, and 61. We also own fields 82, 83, 84, and 85. Now, these fields are right on the map border, and I'm not super keen on that. You'll see when we get to a little bit later part of the video probably what I mean by that. Now, the description also said that there were 5 different playable farms. This would be one of those, which you can buy for $70,029 if you are starting in a play mode other than new farmer. Another farm is right next door. You can buy it for $143,000. There is a farm over here to the southeast. You can buy for $171,000, so that's 3. There is a farm up here to the north. I believe it is this one right here. You buy for $200,000. And then there is a farm right there that you can buy for $0. Pretty nice. Now, in addition to all of the buyable fields and land, there is the unbuyable area that you can also buy on this particular map. I know that is a little redundant, but at any rate, you can buy the main forest here, as well as the area including the roads and the areas around all of the other fields and farms for $0 should you so wish. Now, there are some interesting areas, like here. You're going to see when we get to the fly around, these are basically residential plots. Not really sure why they've all been grouped together, but at any rate, you buy those for $348,000. If we take a look here at field prices, field 86 and 87 you can buy for $76,000. We have 62, 3, and 4 for $27,000. We got a big clump of fields down here, $282,000. So overall, land prices seem fairly reasonable. Field 36 you can buy for $134,000. Now, if we take a look at the crop counter, it looks like this is the same generic crop growth calendar. If I am wrong in that, I'm sure you guys will correct me down in the comments below, but overall it looks like the crop counter that I am used to seeing, at least. If we take a look here at our prices screen, if you remember, we are now reviewing all of these maps based on 5 different criteria. A perfect map based on this criteria would score a 5 out of 5. This map, well, it's not going to get a 5 out of 5. It's going to get a score. We're going to talk a little bit about that later. It's a bit lower than that, but I think with possibly a update, the map could score a bit better than it is currently. And that is because right now, this map is missing sell points for some of the base game crops and some of the base game production and animal outputs. Let's go ahead and iterate through all of these. You can see we have a sell point for wheat, barley, oats, canola, sorghum, grapes. For the most part, our sell points are going to be the GCHB grain elevator, grocery mart, or the animal dealer. Olives, sunflowers, soybeans, corn, potatoes, sugar beet, cut sugar beets. Cotton, on the other hand, is a no-go on this map. There is no place to sell your cotton. In addition, there's no place to sell your eggs, or wool, or milk, or wood chips. We do have the ability to sell our silage, hay, straw, and grass. We can also sell flour, bread, cake, butter, cheese, fabric, clothes. We can't sell wool or cotton, but we can definitely sell fabric. Okay. Clothes, sugar, honey, no-go on the honey. Also, a no-go on our planks and our stones. But we do have sell points for all of the other items. There is no BGA on the map, so there is no place to sell our manure or slurry. There is no BGA, so there is no digestate that's being produced. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think there is a lime fill point either on the map. And then there is no sell point for stones. So on the rating criteria with respect to, does the map include sell points for all included crops, base game production, and animal outputs, I'm going to have to give this a 0.5 point score. And the fact that it does not include sell points for key select base game crops, animal outputs, or select production points. And the fact that it doesn't include a place for stones, you're going to have to put down your own stone crusher or come down in here in the settings and turn stones off. As I alluded to at the start, this map includes no vehicles at the start in any play mode. That's why I suggest that you start in Farm Manager so you can maximize your bank account. We do have 3 horse pastures on the map already pre-placed. They do not have any animals in them at the start. We do have contracts available, and we do have 4 greenhouses pre-placed on the map. They do not have any inputs. As you can see, they do not start with any water, and therefore they are not actively producing anything. And with that, let's move on to our kind of our farm tour. Here we are at our farmhouse. We do not have a sleep trigger on any of the possible farmhouses at any of the farms that we own or could own. I think maybe that is why we have the Hobo farmhouse pack. We'll look at that here in a little bit. Take a look around, and here is our starting farm. So the main road is out that direction. Now, I have to say, I think these structures here are modeled after possibly tobacco dryers. I don't know. I don't live in tobacco country, but they kind of look an awful lot like they could be something that you would use to dry tobacco. And there's a fair bit of these scattered around the map at various farms. They do not serve any purpose. You can't open the doors or anything. They're just here decorative. Got a decent little bale shed here. Move on through. We've got some more of those drying buildings. We do have a Meridian grain bin. This is one of the grain bins that require the use of an auger to fill and empty. The grain bin is empty at the start. There we have some more sheds. We have another trailer. And I will say that another review criteria that we do look at is, do the buildings, where appropriate, use new texturing techniques to provide that 3D look? Are ground textures also using this technique? And we can see from looking at the side of the building that we do indeed have that 3D type look. And down here at the bottom, we are getting that. Also, this would be a trailer that has come over from Elm Creek. And we will see several other buildings coming over from Elm Creek as well. We do have stones that are using that technique also. So I have given this particular map a half score on that regard also. It's not being used in every single building, so I gave it a half score. It's being used in a portion of those buildings. It's not being used over here, for example, at this decorative silo, the decorative dryer, and such. And also another review point that we look at is, can the farms be customized? Can I sell the buildings that are pre-placed on the farm? And therefore, what kind of freedom do I have to customize and place my own buildings? I am once again going to give this map a half score on that regard, because on this starting farm, the only thing I can sell is the Meridian grain bin, and I can sell this building here. But when I sell this building, the decorative bits inside the building remain. So I would like to see, one, I would like to be able to sell all of the buildings on the farms as you buy them. And I would like to see the decorative bits go with the building when you sell it, as opposed to them being left around. But select buildings you can sell. So I'm giving them a half a point at this point for that. We do have a fuel trigger available right there. Then we move on down. We have the animal dealer sell point. So this is going to be our sell point for our silage, hay, straw, grass right there. This is probably also the sell point for the cut sugar beets. Moving on down at this point, I believe we are at the edge of our property. Just wanted to check on that. Yes, we are. We are at the edge of our property. The next little bit that we're going to take a look at is actually attached to the farm directly next door to us. And that is, so we have a horse area. One of the horse pastures is right next door. This little area right here. In order to get to the horse pasture, you're going to have to come through the barn here. So we have that door and then this door. In order to get to the horse pasture, this is a water fill point. So this is where we can draw water out to feed our horses. This is another one of those buildings that's using the new 3D'ing technique. So I wanted to point that out as compared to, let's say, this building that is just flat. Not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that we're pointing out. Now, around the back here, we have our triggers for our food trough, our water, and our horses themselves. Each of these will hold 6 horses. And if we take a look at the animal area now, you're going to see that these will accept all the normal food elements: water, base food, which is going to be sorghum or oats, and hay. And that is pretty much the main farm and a little bit of the tour of the farm right next door. I do want to go ahead and at this time take a look at the placeables that are included with this map. So let's go ahead and go on into build mode. And inside of the build mode, under sheds, we do have some custom sheds that are included. These are pretty much the sheds that we could also delete or remove. So we have a 60 by 40 tan shed. And we have a 60 by 40 white shed. Red shed. I would like to be able to see these that are basically the same shed. This is 52 by 72 and 40 by 60 red shed. But I was going to say, these two are the same shed, just different exteriors. I would like to see them maybe implement at some point in time the change color option that we have in game here to change, you know, the color of the sheds, just to cut down on that. We are missing the store icon. So if you look at our log, we now do have errors related to not being able to find the store icons for those sheds, but that will not prohibit you from being able to make use of those. We do not have anything in the silos or silos extension area. We do have a water hydrant, which is simply a water trigger. That is also missing the store icon, but we can place a water trigger for $1,000. Bit cheaper than the base game water trigger, that is for sure. Under tools, nothing new there. Under farmhouses, we do have those hobo farmhouses. We've got this little one here for $1,000. We have a nice tent for $63, a bench, and a placemat for $5. Under production, there is nothing new under the production area. Sell points are all base game sell points. You will need to put down your stone crusher if you leave stones enabled, because the map does not include one. Greenhouses, orchards, and generators, all standard. Now, as far as animals, we have a custom horse area. That is this right here. I'm going to go ahead and place this down just for the purpose of showing this to you. So this is the horse pasture. And we're going to see this when we get around to looking at some more of the map. But your horses, when you buy 6 horses, they are going to be limited to roaming in this area right here. The area that has no grass. And over here, it doesn't look that bad. Because it's a fairly confined area already. But, I mean, over time you may notice, I wonder why the horses never come over here. Well, it's because their nav mesh is limited to this little square by all these triggers. It will be rather odd looking when we get to a couple of the other horse pastures, because one of them is a very large fenced in area, and seeing the horses never really roam too far from their food and water can start to look a little weird. But that is basically all of the placeables that are included. There's no other custom animal areas included on the map. Decoration is all still the standard items. And if we take a look at our landscaping options under painting, they're all basically the options that we have with Elm Creek. Let's go ahead and just layer those down real fast. Then we can come over and take a look at them. So we have our animal mud. We have our concrete. The game calls this asphalt. I call it concrete. Then we have dirt. Forest, ground floor, forest floor, grass, and gravel. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get up for the fly around. We'll fly around the map and take a look at it from above. And for this map, that will probably conclude our tour, because given the fact that we only really have 3 sell points, and we've seen one already in the white barn there, we really won't have much need to drive around to the sell points. Now, I mentioned at the start of the video, I wasn't super excited about these starting fields being literally at the map edge. And that is because, let's get a little less altitude here. That's the map edge. It's don't fall off, right? I mean, if you're worried about heights, you might not want to stand too close, right? That is the map edge. And as I said, the fields literally butt up against the map's edge. I would have liked to have maybe seen the map author not include these fields. I just don't like the idea of farming this close to the edge of the map and having the edge of the map be this exposed. I mean, this field, it's practically not useful because it's right down here. This field, the same boat, it's practically not that useful because it's right on the map's edge and everything. If we get a little bit of altitude, we can see that we do have a very large forested area of the map, which is true to life. Don't have an issue with that. Now, a lot of the trees in this area are rather interesting trees. They're what I call 2D trees, and you'll notice them when we get up close to them that they'll kind of rotate based on where we are looking and how we are looking. I think that may have been done for the purpose of maybe game performance, because when you have so many trees in an area like this, things can start to get a little laggy. In fact, looking at my OBS screen, it looks a little laggy, but on my screen, it is perfectly fine. I'll put up my frames just to give you a little bit of frame of reference here. Like I said, it's smooth for me on my monitor. Looking at OBS preview, it looks a little maybe not so smooth. So here we have the second farm that I mentioned. We have the horse pasture over here to our left. And then second farm extends that direction back to the pond. The other fields that we own are across the street here. And again, I really wish that we didn't have these fields butting right up to the map border. And really, this is the only area that we really see this occurring. As we progress further into the map, we really don't have a lot of fields butting right up against the edge of the map. Now, if we continue on, kind of following the road here, you'll see that, as I said, the map to the left or to the west is predominantly forest. And then the farm areas are here to the east. And then further to the north. Now, if you're looking for a map that offers you a realistic look at North Carolina or a realistic look at rural America, specifically East Coast America, then I have to say then you may have probably found the map that you are looking for with GrayStone Farm. If you're looking for a map that is heavy on production elements, then not so much. Because this map, its intent is to portray the real life area of Rockingham County, North Carolina, and a rural part of that area, you're going to find this map does not include any production elements. None. And that is one area that this map has sorely gotten a 0 on as far as the points are concerned for the ratings. We do have 4 greenhouses that we're going to take a look at over here. As we saw earlier, those are in essence the only production elements, but I did not feel that the inclusion of 4 greenhouses was worth any sort of point in this category, because the item that we're looking at is production built in, or does the map have areas set aside for the placement of such? And this map, I feel, likely does not have areas set aside for the placement of production. But that's not this map's purpose. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that this map's purpose doesn't correspond with one of the criteria that we are using to evaluate all Farming Simulator 22 maps. So again, I don't want people to get hung up that this map doesn't get a super high score, that it means it's a bad map. That is not the case. It simply means that it is not a map playing towards the rating criteria. The rating criteria do not take into account the playability of the map. From a standpoint, can I farm on the map? The criteria takes into account select Farm Sim 22 features and functionality, of which this map is excluding some of the production elements and the fact that it doesn't have them built in, and there's no clear areas to build those. But again, representing a rural area in North Carolina, I wouldn't expect to just randomly drive upon a oil factory producing olive oil, sunflower oil, or canola oil. If the map included a town area, kind of off on the fringe of the map, there was a town, then I could see adding production in that town area, but not how the map is laid out right now. So here we have another one of those water fill points. We have to come through this building in order to get to the second horse pasture that we're going to take a look at. We have our food, water, and our horse trigger right here. And from here, we can have, again, another 6 horses. as we have them right there. We turn around, we have our third horse pasture. And this is the one I was saying looks a little strange when you are right here, because you can see how big this fenced in area is. And the horses will always stay real close to the food and water troughs because of that mesh. Let's go ahead and just get 6 of these. And pretty much that's... they're not going to roam too far from there. So it will look a little weird when they don't start really roaming outside of that area which I showed you. This is another one of those optional player farms. We get a little bit more altitude. And as we are now progressing across kind of the northern partition of the map, we're coming towards the 2 sell points, and we have a shop trigger. So this is where our vehicle shop is located, this large building down below. So let's go ahead and kind of go down there and take a look at that. Here we have our shop trigger and our customize repair trade trigger right there. The grain sell point is located right here. And then the grocery mart is located right here. Now, as far as the 5th criteria that we take a look at, are the triggers and player interactive areas clearly marked? I say yes, they are. So this map gets a full credit on that. And that should be all of the items that we typically look at now in Farming Simulator 22 maps. So let's just continue our aerial tour as we make our way down towards another one of the player farms and the greenhouses, as well as the animal dealer if we want to transport our animals. And let's kind of summarize the map rating and what we have thought of it so far. Are production items built into the map and have areas set aside for the placement of such production that's not included? No, this map does not have production other than the 4 greenhouses placed on the map, nor does it have really distinct areas for you to put production elements down other than really either going whole hog and deleting a bunch of forest, because these are not the typical trees that you're going to be using a tree harvester on, or sacrificing some farmland. So I gave this particular map a 0 in that category. Does the map include sell points for all included crops, base game production elements, and animal outputs? I gave the map a half a point because we are missing sell points for cotton, eggs, wool, milk, wood chips, honey, planks, and stones. Can the farms be customized? As we talked about earlier, the farms can partially be customized, and for that I gave the map a half a point. Select buildings, specifically the buildings that it looks like we can interact with, like this particular building here, can be sold. What we run into, though, is decorative elements inside the building will remain. So I do wish that if we could sell a building, everything inside the building also went away, because that kind of negates the whole ability to sell a building, as if you can't get rid of everything. Other parts of the farms are static and cannot be sold in game. Here we have the 4 greenhouses. So I gave the map a half point for that one. And where appropriate, are we using new texture techniques to provide 3D looks on buildings and ground textures? Yes, and I gave the map a half point on that because not all buildings are making use of that. Some of the buildings are making use of that came over from Elm Creek. So overall, I gave the map a 2.5 out of 5. I think the map could easily get bumped up to a 3.5 if it is updated and allows you to sell cotton, egg, wool, milk, wood chips, honey planks, and stones without having to put down your own sell point. And I also think it could gain another half point if the map was updated such that it allows you to sell all of the items on the buyable farms, so that if you wanted to, you could sell everything and really just build out your own rural North Carolina farm. And if those were done, then this map would easily have a 3.5 out of 5. So here we have the greenhouses, we have our water triggers, we have our pallet spawn points. We were able to buy the horse areas or use the horse areas without having to own them. At least we could buy the horses. So I'm suspecting we could possibly also make use of these greenhouses without having to buy that land. This is another one of those viable farm areas. Now we're coming down here to the southeastern corner of the map. We have our animal dealer located right here. So here is our animal dealer. And then we have another Meridian bin, grain storage bin that is pre-placed. Right there. And there is a fuel trigger up here by field 44, which is attached to another one of those viable farms. So guys, that is it. That is going to do us for GrayStone Farm. Like I said, I gave this map a 2.5 out of 5 simply because we could not sell all of the sell points. Not all the items associated with the viable farms can be sold. Therefore, we don't have full ability to customize the player viable farms. If the map is updated and those would change, so that we do indeed have the ability to sell from everywhere, and we also have full customization of the viable or ownable farms, then I could see this map bumping up to a 3.5 out of 5. Fully understand why it doesn't have built-in production because, well, that's not the purpose of this map. The purpose of this map is to emulate the rural area of Rockingham, North Carolina. So until next time, happy farming.